nice crowd. Thank you, Randy, you and the board of directors for this special honor. I'm excited. I've never been in a group of, or a banquet that had such a group of people that were so happy and enjoy this game of baseball. But anyway, thanks a lot for being here. And listen to all us guys. I have to go through this hour-long speaking. But I also want to congratulate the Hall of Fame inductees. You know, we live in the greatest country in the world, and we have the freedom to be here, congregate tonight, enjoy ourselves. So let's not forget our brave men and women in the service, our law enforcement, our special responders who have sacrificed their lives so that we have this freedom to do this on a yearly basis. It's great to be back in this area, see some of my friends, as Rennie mentioned. Joe Lutz, a friend of mine for over 50 years, scouted for me when I was in San Diego, and talk about some of my days in Gloversville. I had so many friends over there and great memories of my year at Gloversville. Not too many people remember me, because when you hit 217, I don't think too much of it. In fact, that year, I had cards made. Have glove, will travel. But you know, I've been in baseball over 70 years now, and I've met so many great people, and every day I thank the Lord for the great opportunity that He's given me to be able to compete, meet so many great people in baseball. And I've had an opportunity to manage 7 clubs in the major leagues and had some great owners. And each owner of the major league club I've learned something from. In Kansas City, I had Mr. Kaufman, and he had the philosophy that he rewarded producers. And Charlie Finley at Oakland, if it wasn't for the olives in his martinis, he would have starved to death. But his philosophy was leadership comes from the top. Then I had Ray Kroc over at San Diego, owner and founder of McDonald's, and his philosophy was persistence is the key to success, and dreams do come true. And then there was Jeffrey Loria, who I managed for the Marlins, and his philosophy was no risk, no reward. Well, at 70 years old, he took a gamble, he took a risk on me. In fact, I was so old, I can remember Preparation A. But as all of us know, I've seen a lot of youngsters in this audience, we all have dreams, and we all had dreams in the past. And, you know, the road to success is always under construction. You're going to run across potholes, detours, and so forth. But if you keep your dream alive, everything will work out. And I never lost that dream. Now, you know, people ask me, they say, well, what do you attribute your success to? Well, I look at it this way. I attribute it to the persistence in following my dream, making my parents proud, and the power of prayer. And believe me, I like to just, share a few of those things with you. You know, when I was a youngster and talking, Ronnie was talking about his days in Atlanta, his younger days. When I was down in high school in New Jersey, I was a pretty good high school player. And we didn't have the draft in those days, so the scouts would come to the house and try to sign you. And my father was in the garage taxi wrecking business, and he only had a 7th grade education, and he worked pretty hard, and he wouldn't let me sign because he said he wanted me to get a college education so that I didn't have to work as hard as he did, which was great. So I ended up taking a scholarship to Holy Cross College in Worcester, and every night that I went to the dining hall, I passed the shrine of the Blessed Virgin. When I came back, I'd stand there and pray for about 10 minutes. And I'd say, "Good lady, can you help me out? Can you convince the good Lord to convince my father to let me sign?" Well, I came home for Christmas vacation or the Christmas break. The scouts came back to the house again, and my father realized what I wanted to do. So he got me in another room. He said, "You really want to play, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'll make a deal with you. Will you promise me that you'll get a college education? You know, I'll let you sign." Well, that was a piece of cake. I didn't know. So I knew, hey, that's the way I got a chance to start my professional career. And I played a couple of years and was in the service for a couple of years. And I wasn't a very good player. You know, like I said, I couldn't hit. I hit 3 ways one year in the Carolina League, right, left, and seldom. But I was down in spring training with New Orleans. Danny Murtaugh was the manager. And we were playing an exhibition game. It was near the end of spring training. The Cardinals were heading back to St. Louis, and we were playing the St. Louis Cardinals, an exhibition game. And we jumped all over the Cardinals that day. We were ahead about 8-1 or something, and had a rally going in the 8th inning. Scored 3 or 4 runs. The bases were loaded, and Danny looks down at the end of the bench. He said, "Hey, Mac, come in." So, you know, I was a young kid, then about 22 years old. I'd run up there and say, "Yeah, Danny." He said, "Grab a bat and stop this rally." Well, that was a tip-off to changing my direction from being a player to a manager. And I was lucky because at 24 years old, I got my first manager's job. And then I worked my way up the ladder and finally got to the major leagues in '73. And, you know, when you get to all managers, you know, you're hired to be fired. And I got plenty of experience in that area. Fired in Kansas City, fired in Oakland, fired in San Diego, fired in Cincinnati. But I remained persistent in following my dreams. And after I got fired in Cincinnati in 2000, I was 70 years old, and I said, "Well, that's the end of my career." But I didn't think that way. I really, and I go to church about every day. And I used to go to church and I'd pray to Saint Therese, the little flower prodigy of miracles in the Catholic Church. Well, you know, 70 years old, I needed a miracle. Well, 2 years later, Mother's Day, I get a call from the Marlins. "Come on down, I want you to be our manager." Well, I get down there to take over the club. We're in last place, 10 games under 500. We get lucky, we win a bunch of games, and we finally end up winning the wild card. Go on to beat the Giants, the Cubs, and then end up beating the Yankees in the World Series. But you know, when we really look at it, I had a team of great players. You know, I listened to Bobby and all these guys. Ronnie talk about the teammates they had. I had one player on a team that had ever played in a playoff game, and these guys were hungry. And they were the most. In 16 years I managed in the major leagues, this was the most dedicated bunch of players I've ever had. Unselfish, do everything. You know, I just make a lineup out and get out of the way. They were good, and they loved it. They were like biscuits. When things got hot, when things got heated up, they rose to the occasion. But like Ewing Kauffman, the owner of the Kansas City team, said, you know, rewards go to the producers. Well, you know, I was manager of the year that year. I was the oldest manager in the history of the game to win a World Series until I had to pass the baton to Dusty Baker last week. But, you know, you got a chance to be on TV. I was on the Lano Show, TV appearances, speaking engagements, and so forth. And it was really exciting. And you know, when you talk about speaking engagements, two of the ones I had after the World Series, I got a call from the chief of police of Atlanta. And he said to me, hey, would you please come down and speak at our Boys and Girls Club banquet? I said, sure. So I went down to Atlanta, spoke at the banquet, and on my way back to the hotel after the banquet, I had a rental car and I kind of eased through a four-way stop. Well, I didn't see the policeman over there, so they pulled me over. And, you know, where's your license? Where you been? What are you doing down here? And I told them I was, you know, down here speaking at the police Boys and Girls banquet, and I didn't think I was getting anywhere with this guy. So I reached over and picked it up, and I said, look at this, officer. Look at this beautiful plaque the chief of police gave me. Well, I tell you, when he told me what to do with that plaque, I was sure as hell glad I didn't get a trophy. My daughter, Christy, was opening a family fun center, laser tag and stuff like that. And she said, Dad, would you come down and sign some autographs at this grand opening? I said, sure, I'd glad to. So I went down, signed autographs, and she's around looking at all her friends that sent her a bunch of flowers, and she's looking at who sent them, and here comes a card that says, rest in peace. So she comes over to me, she said, look at this, Dad. I said, don't worry about it, the flowers probably made a mistake. Well, I'm going to call her. I said, okay, go on, call her. So she called the flowers, and the flowers said, Christy, we're sorry, we made a mistake, but just think. Someone's going to be at a funeral today, and is going to look at those flowers, and the cards on those flowers, and one of them is going to say, congratulations on your new location. Great year. You can see why I really enjoyed following my dream and how strong the power of prayer was. And I can just remember when the final out was made in that sixth game of the World Series when Beckett tagged Posada going down the first base line, and when we finally won the World Series, all I could do was look up to the heaven and say, thank you, Lord. And Ray Kroc, you were right. Dreams do come true. And I want to say thank you all. You've been a wonderful audience. Enjoyed. It's a thrill to come here. And I thank the board of directors and Rennie for the privilege of being in the New York Hall of Fame. Thank you.